M0FXB, welcome back to my videos on the Anytone 168. This radio does receive and transmit APRS, but only on digital. For analog, it will transmit. So let me just quickly show you. So on the 878, we're going to hit transmit and watch the radio there. And you'll see there's the APRS info that's coming from the digital part of the 878. So fantastic. And if I transmit here, it will show up on APRS FI, which I will show you now. So this is APRS FI, and I actually called it my APRS Silver because I'm using a silver hotspot. So watch the rest of this video and I'll show you how to set this up. So first thing is open up your D168 software. Make sure you've got the latest version. You're going to need your Pi-Star hotspot or a repeater that you can connect to. Otherwise you will not communicate with anyone using digital mode. And we'll go one step at a time. So first thing is create the channel. Double click here where it says channel. And then I'll go to the one that I've already created. So go to the bottom of your channel list. You would start with a blank screen, but I'm just going to go into the one that I've just done. So we'll double click and just copy my settings because they work for me. I've called it 3 APRS. So that's the settings. Next, we put in the hotspot frequency, which you can see here. We have to create a contact number, so a talk group private contact number 31099. So we just close that a minute. Go to on the left here for contacts and double click where it says digital until you see contact talk groups. And there it is there, contact talk groups. And I've only got a few and you'll probably have hundreds in yours. I like to just have a few at a time. And the one you need to create that works for me is 310999. So if you double click a blank space here, and you'll get this window appear. And so name it. It's definitely got to be a private call. And you want TG DMR ID 310999. That's the most important thing. So you've created the contact. What that means is that when you transmit, it will transmit on that talk group. Okay, that's your contact. Back to the channel. So up at the top here, double click channel, and it's here at number 26. Remember the number because it's actually quite handy knowing what that number is. So now into the channel. We've created the frequency, same as my hotspot. It could be your repeater, so you'd have a different receive and transmit. We've named it. We've selected digital, definitely digital. And as you go down here, it says APRS reporting type, and you go digital. You could have, if that's off, you won't transmit APRS. So that has to say digital. Of course, if you're using analog, use that. Then go down, if you want the PTT button to transmit, just go digital APRS PTT and just put on. Then we've got digital APRS report channel, and that's quite important. So drop down and just choose number 1, and I'll show you why that's important in a minute. I haven't changed here where it says DMR mode. That was what it was before, repeater. We do need to select APRS D here. That's the contact. That's where we make sure that inside the channel, when you transmit, it transmits on this number. So if we click it, and you'll see that I've named it APRS 310999 private call. And just remember, it does have to be private call when you're creating that contact. I go back into it. 310, it has to be private. See that private just here. Generally, you don't use private. Back to the channel. And scrolling down, I've used color code 1. That's my hotspot, which is almost like CCTV. And I've used slot 1. You don't have to use slot 1, but I've used slot 1. So imagine the channel is cut in half. You're just using one half. Which half doesn't really matter that much. So I feel like that's everything. And I have ticked the box here that says APRS receive. So that's been ticked. I haven't ticked anything else or changed anything else. Click OK. Then on the left, go to APRS here. Okay, double click. And I have already set a lot of this up because I was setting up the analog. So if you look here on the left, the items that I changed were, I made sure it said wide 1-1 and wide 2-2. So wide 1-1, no space, wide 2-2. That's what I've put in there. I put a message in so I'd recognize it. We've got M0FXB, Hamtech APRS, and I've chose 9. And your call sign goes here. I didn't actually touch any of this. So the APRS TX tone, I like to hear it. To call SSID, I didn't touch any of that, or any of this here as well. The delay and the subtone and all that, I haven't touched any of that. But SSID 9, and then if you want a little car, you do a forward arrow and a slash. It's a combination of slashes and arrows that give you the images that you end up seeing on APRS FI map. So once you've got that in place, then you need to put your location in. That's just here. If you're with this 168, there's no GPS, so you need to put your location in. So mine, I just Googled my location and I typed it in here, 51.36N and then 2.93W. Okay, there you go. So that's my location. Then if you're interested in analog, I put in here 144.800. And you're pretty set up for analog if you do that, to be honest. But that you do need to remember that is transmission frequency number 1. But for digital, it's different. For digital, we need to find the channel that we just created. Now, to find the channel easily, of course, you need to put it into a zone. So if you've created the digital channel like I did, go to your zone here. Zones are basically buckets of channels. And what I would do is I've created this one here called APRS. Underneath, you're creating a new bucket or group of channels. Double click the space. Call it APRS. So then you'll be the same as my one, like so, APRS. And then the channels that you've created, look, APRS, you put them into that bucket, that zone. So with this right-hand arrow, you can remove with the left arrow. Right-hand arrow, select them here at the bottom, and it will just push them across. And I got a couple of disconnects in there. But really, you just need the APRS channel, okay, which is 31099 talk group. So click OK. So that way, when you go into your radio and you're trying to select zones, you'll be able to find the zone APRS, then you'll be able to scroll through the channels. What I do is I go to optional settings here, especially when I'm experimenting. I go to power on and I select it here. So you've got default startup channel, I turn that on, and then it allows me to decide what the radio shows on the screen, yeah, when it boots. I can turn it off now and turn it back on, and it will still end up in the same place. And that's because I've told it to boot up on the A band, APRS zone, which is where the channels are held, and then the individual channel is the APRS one that I've created. And on the B band, I've put my hotspot for something completely different. So I find that's a lot convenient that when you do program everything and then you're fumbling around going into zones like this, you're going menu, and then you're going to zone, and then you're finding APRS and you're selecting it, and then you're turning to the right channel. It's all that going on. And I just, when I'm experimenting, I'm here on the software anyway. I just don't want to faff. So no, don't worry about that. So anyway, back to my follow camera, which is very cool. So let's close that down. So we've created the channel. We've put it into a zone. Yeah. We know we can find it on the radio. Let's go back into the APRS settings. And we need to see, we're only using number 1. Remember I said to you, remember the number 1 thing, it matters. Number 1, we've told it to go to use 3 APRS. Channel slot, actually, I didn't select anything, but it worked. So I'm not going to mess with that, but you can use slot 1 or 2. And then private core, that was important. And then the number, 31099. So when I transmit, that's where it goes. That's what you'll see on my dashboard, and I will show you. So now we've got that, just checking I've missed anything else. That the manual TX interval, it's sort of saying, look, if it's saying that if you try and transmit within 40 seconds and you change this, it won't let you. The auto TX, you can turn that on. Let's say you want it to transmit every 2 minutes. You'd go APRS auto TX. I think that's too often. You know, I'd do it. I wouldn't even do it anywhere, nothing like that. You know, I'd be more like 10 minutes, you know. Support for roaming. I don't even know how to do roaming. I know what it is, but I've never used it. Fixed location. Yeah, definitely turn that on because we're using fixed. And you can set your feet as well, feet or meters. And APRS dis time. What does that mean? Tell me, remind me. So I feel like that section's all done now. Make sure you, as you do this, save. You know, you want to save. Don't you know, you don't want to lose that, have to set all this up again. It's really annoying. So if we go over to, just quickly to Brandmeister, if you've not used Brandmeister, I'll just close this down. Okay, and back to just my home page. There is a section in there where it helps a non-GPS radio work well with your coordinates on APRS. So we just go to, you're already logged in, you've created your own Brandmeister account, you've got, remember you do need your Brandmeister password, which you would create in, once you're logged in, I'll just log back in, oh we're in now, click, go to self-care, it says the word self-care, your hotspot password is here, you definitely need that. Now look up here at these different settings here, I've set English, I've set M0FXB-9 and also APRS Silver. And then Chinese radio, which is what works most of the time. And then a gap there of 300 seconds. And then save that. And so what you'll find, back to APRS FI, if you look here, it actually says APRS Silver M0FXB-9. Yeah, so it's worked fine. And if I just show you Pi-Star, because I'm using a hotspot, and go back to the dashboard, and I transmit, hopefully I haven't done anything wrong here, it should transmit and then change the time on that we're seeing. Let's just move this down a bit. That we're seeing on M0FXB-9. You type in the search here, M0FXB-9. So let's just quickly key. It sends the packet. You can see that. If you look at the Pi-Star dashboard, it goes green. It actually says DMR data. It actually says it where normally it would not say that. And then hopefully, and you know, the time changes. So if I just put in, what time is it now? That's exactly the right time, 2:16. And it's that easy. Well, I don't know if easy is the right word, but persevere with those settings. This is the digital setup. I have made a separate video on analog. And to be honest, they're exactly the same settings for the Anytone 878. So once you've seen this, the difference with the 878 is that it will actually receive the analog part of APRS. Now, the 168 does receive the digital, and I showed you that at the very beginning of the video, and that's really cool because I didn't know it would do that. So, you know, £120 plus postage from Martin Lynch, and you get this radio, and some people say, oh, it's perfect for new people and for beginners. Well, I completely disagree with that. I do think it's a very good device and I'm very happy with it, and I think anyone that buys one will be happy. But it is not a beginner's device. This is a very advanced radio, as is the 878. But does it have a beginner price? I suppose. But DMR is not for the faint-hearted. If you take on a DMR radio and you want to program it yourself, you've got a lot to learn for months and months and months. If someone just sends you what we call a code plug, a bit of software that loads most of it up for you, you're still going to have to go in and put in your DMR number, add your hotspot and add your local repeater, you know, so it works for you and your call sign, etc. So, and then that's going to be not confusing, but hard work, because doing it via the radio takes a while. Doing it via software can be really confusing. So thanks for watching my YouTube channel. I hope I haven't missed anything. But yeah, I completely recommend this device and I'm having great fun. Bye for now. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, 7-3, all the best.